Considering selling, click on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Find out about all the products and services offered by Dan Rizzo, your American Family Insurance agent in Taylorville, by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome in to WTIM, your information station. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. Before we get going with another great interview right here, let's thank our sponsors that make it possible. People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. In the studio, we have Lisa Peterson, a nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. How are you today, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Doing super well. Good to have you here today, and it's even better. I just found out that February is Heart Month.
Yes, yep. It's a great month to really bring awareness to talking about heart disease and mainly preventing it or delaying it. But yeah, February is considered American Heart Month. And I'm really excited because tomorrow, which we had perfect timing, is actually National Wear Red Day. Okay. And that is to bring awareness to women in heart disease. So a really scary thing is heart disease is still our number one killer among Americans. And when we talk about high blood pressure and high cholesterol, we often call them the silent killers because you can't look at somebody and know they have high blood pressure. So it's really bringing awareness, making sure you're getting in and getting tested. February is a great month to go to your doctor and be like, hey, can I get my blood pressure checked just to make sure that you're in the range you need to be? And kind of talking about how you can control it through lifestyle, because 80% of heart-related events are actually preventable through lifestyle changes. Yeah. So that's what we're here for. Totally.
That's why awareness about this is just so huge, especially in February. It's National Heart Month. And you just said it. That's a huge fact. 80% of these, they can be treatable just by doing things in your daily life. Little details in your life that can really make you healthier. Let's talk about them and let's find out what we have to know here.
Yeah. So when we talk about risk factors that we can easily change, of course, the first one we think of, or one of them, is high blood pressure. So blood pressure can be hereditary. That's one thing. If another family member has it, there's a chance that you may have it. That's why it's good to get tested. We talk about controlling it with our diet. One way to do that is watching how much salt we're eating, which is always kind of a hot topic because someone can say, I don't eat any salt. I don't put a shaker on the table. Well, that's where label reading is important because a lot of the foods you eat actually have high sodium. You just don't taste it. Right. So it's knowing how to read a label, looking into it. The dietary guidelines recommend no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, which is roughly about a teaspoon. The American Heart Association goes even further and tells you 1,500, which is incredibly hard because a lot of our foods have sodium in it. But that's what we're trying to do, trying to find ways to cut it down. And especially for those who eat a really salty diet, that's hard because you miss that. So what I do is I work in nutrition, is we find ways to add herbs, add spices, add something else where you're not going to miss that salt. Okay. So, and that's one way to control your blood pressure.
Sure. There are seasonings and spices out there that can be a substitute for salt.
Yep. And finding I know there's a lot of companies that sell them too, the no salt added options. I'm getting canned vegetables. I just did a class this week talking about canned vegetables. And as long as they are rinsed, you are good to go. Like rinsed is cutting it down by about 30 to 40%. And again, looking for those labels, look for the no salt added on a label, and it's going to cut a ton of the sodium out of it. But yeah, if you're somebody who does like really salty food, that's where I said the first step, rinse the vegetables, and you're taking out about 40% of that sodium.
So just buying canned vegetables, there's already a lot of sodium mixed up in there just to keep it preserved.
Yep. And that's, because we are still in the cold season of soup season where we are trying to find ways that canned soup typically is pretty high in sodium. So making your own soups at home, those vegetables have great fiber in them. We've got other nutrients as well. Also adding a little bit more potassium to your diet. Again, consult your doctor when you do that. But potassium actually blunts the effect of the sodium. So if you are somebody, the first one people think of is bananas, but spinach has it. There's other foods out there that have potassium in them. And again, that's going to help lower some of that blood pressure, lower your sodium in there.
Wow, that combats. I did not expect that it really can have adverse effects there. That's pretty cool. When you're talking about, this is kind of off, high blood pressure, what is the number range? I know there's a range that's good for people. Do you know that off the top of your head?
So when you have high blood pressure, what we consider elevated is 120 systolic over and less than 80 diastolic.
Right.
So 120 over 80 is really where you want to aim. To be considered high blood pressure in a level 1 would be 130 to 139 to 80 to 89. So if that above there, but really keeping it 120 over 80, getting it less than that is fantastic. That's really what we aim for. But that's one thing, again, when you go to your doctor and get tested, I know there's machines out there still where you can do that. But if you do see it elevated, talk to your doctor. See if there's things you can do with your diet to change, if it does require medication. But that is, like we said, is a silent killer, and having high blood pressure puts you at an increased risk for heart disease.
Totally. All right. We're talking right now with Lisa Peterson in Heart Month. It's February. She's a nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. Talking a little bit about salt right there. When I watch maybe a recipe video out there and they say, be adding salt and pepper to every step of this process. I hear you say they're recommended 1 teaspoon of salt.
Yes.
Hey, we're going over every single day.
Yep. And that's, again, it's hard to cut down on it. Salt, I mean, it does push flavor forward in food, but a lot of recipes, you can cut it out.
Sure.
Or you can cut it down. I know baked goods, sometimes you want to include it because you need it for some of that leavening, that side of it. But for, say you're sauteing fish or you're making vegetables, use garlic powder. Use something that doesn't have the word salt in it. Yeah. And that's an easy way to cut it down. Garlic powder is a great one. Onion powder. You can buy those seasoning mixes. Just check when you buy them already pre-packaged, because those tend to sneak in salt or sodium in there. So double check those. But yeah, herbs and spices are great for that reason. I always joke, if you like spicy foods, that's an easy way to cut down salt because you won't miss it.
Right.
Because the spiciness will kind of take over that.
Yeah. The onion powder, garlic powder. So you really think about those. Those enhance any meal, right? They're really easy. Just a little sprinkle right there. So any way to get away from the salt. You said it right there. It'll be on the table to every meal. I've seen it happen. You know, any meal will come out. I'm like, you put salt on that. You know, people will put salt on pretty much anything.
Yep. And we've talked about it. Salt is an acquired taste. So what you consider salty, I might not consider salty. So if you and I would eat the same thing and you're used to eating a saltier diet, you wouldn't notice it, and I would. You're like, man, this is salty. You're like, no, it's not. And it's because your palate adjusts. Sure. So you can learn to unlike salt. It's just slowly cutting down. Don't cold turkey yourself on salt.
Wean off the salt.
Yes.
It can grab you.
Yes.
It really can. There's a lot of people. There's a term for that. People that really like salt. I thought we talked about it once. It's like POTS or something. I don't know. There's a term for people that really like salt out there. But any more heart health tips here?
Yeah. So one thing too is add, don't subtract. And what that more means is add more fruits and vegetables. If you we're in the Valentine's month. I just taught a class on chocolate yesterday. So if you love sweets, you love that stuff, don't completely cut it out. Okay. Your lifestyle, it's going to make a difference. So adding more fruits and vegetables and maybe making those a sometimes food. Yeah. Don't consider them a full-time. When we talk about lean meat specifically, you love red meat, once or twice a week. Don't make it your main source. So finding small ways where you're still going to enjoy the food you love. You're just adding a little bit more fruits and vegetables to get more fiber in, to get a little bit more potassium, some of these other nutrients that'll keep you strong throughout the cold months.
I love it right there. Once again, we talked about adding things and not subtracting. That's going to try to attract people to these types of diets and to interacting better with their new way of life there, because all they hear is I got to stop doing something. I have to stop doing something. It's not that. You can add things to make your life just a little bit better.
And we actually did an activity in one of my classes this week where I gave them a list of fruits and vegetables, and I wanted them to go through and decide which ones they liked, which one they didn't like, and what haven't they tried. Okay. And that's really going to help you add to your meal plan. So figuring out, okay, I've never had that. I've seen it in the grocery store, and then trying it. And same with vegetables. Some people do not like broccoli. The first thing I ask is, how do you make it? Because putting it in the microwave is completely different than putting it in an oven. So trying it different ways will also help enhance that. I love roasted garlic. Steaming it's okay, but roasting gives you a little bit more flavor. So again, finding different ways to prepare these vegetables and going through when you're meal planning, eat within season. Check out our local farmers markets. They always have interesting and new vegetables, and talk to those vendors too. They're going to tell you how they prepare them. The first time I tried patty pan squash I found some patty pan squash here at the farmers market in Taylorville. And they suggested how I prepared it, and I ended up coming up with a recipe for stuffing the little patty pan squash. But yeah, so that's the beauty of it as we get closer to spring. But yeah, kind of going through the grocery store, figuring out jicama. Some people have never had that. You can find that in the grocery store. So that's kind of a fun thing when you're meal planning. And again, it adds more vegetables, more variety. You're not buying a lot of it. And remember, canned, frozen, fresh, they all have nutrition in them. You're just watching how much salt is added. Frozen usually is pretty low in sodium. So if you're going to steam it, that's perfect. You're getting probably more nutrition out of it because they freeze things at peak quality. So you might get a little bit more out of it than even the fresh. Sure. So something to think about.
I love hearing the frozen, fresh, or canned right there. You can find your nutritional value in all those. You just got to be aware of the nutritional stuff on the back of those. And it's been great talking to Lisa Peterson so far today, nutrition wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. We're going to take ourselves a little break right now. We're talking about Heart Month. It's February. It is Heart Month, and tomorrow is National Wear Red Day. It's going to be a great month of heart health and just awareness of that. When we come back, we're going to talk about a great class that Lisa Peterson has coming up and some more. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. We will be back in just a little bit.
Your information station, WTIM.
WTIM on its many platforms, AM, FM, and online brings you Taylorville Tornado football and boys basketball all season long and playoff games of all teams. Tornado Sports on WTIM and stream live on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Are brought to you by Kirby Real Estate, the Christian County YMCA, Brad Davis, your Edward Jones financial advisor, and Landmark, all in Taylorville.
The purple and gold are coming your way. The Taylorville Tornadoes are going to do it today.
This is Bill Wise with the latest Appetite for Pork report. Today, I'm talking with Dr. David Newman, Senior Vice President of Market Growth at National Pork Board, about how your pork checkoff dollars are working to bring more U.S. pork to tables around the world. Dr. Newman, the pork checkoff is always working to drive demand for U.S. pork. For consumers here at home, how are you encouraging them to buy more?
Traditionally, the consumer in the U.S. has been from the boomer generation. They've been heavy pork users. They know what they like. But as boomers start to eat less pork and they start to exit the marketplace, we need to be focused on this consumer of the future, millennials and Gen Zs. They have tremendous purchasing power. And as that purchasing power shifts into these new generations, we need to make pork relevant to these buyers.
Thanks again, David, for talking with us today about how the pork checkoff is building a bigger appetite for U.S. pork. You can find out more information at porkcheckoff.org/radio.
This is Bill Pinkston, General Sales Manager at Landmark at Taylorville. I would like to personally thank all of our customers for another great year. And to start 2024 off the right way, Chevy, Buick, and GMC has announced some huge rebates to start off the new year. Plus, we have a great selection of fresh trade-ins at our family of dealerships. Stop and see us today or shop us online day or night at landmarkoftaylorville.com. Happy New Year from everyone at Landmark of Taylorville. And remember,
You always do better at Landmark.
Hi everyone, Brandon Bible here, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Stresser in Taylorville. Myself, along with my wife Samantha and our assistant Nicole Patrick, are proud to recognize the Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of WTIM Brandon Bible Country Financial Player of the Game during Tornado sports broadcast this school year. WTIM announcers will select a player at the end of each game who will receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game. Good luck to all teams this season and go Tornadoes.
This is Jenny Turvey, manager of Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville. To learn more about our apartments, click on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Jansen's Heating and Air is the home of Dr. Comfort, focusing on customer care for heating and air conditioning across Central Illinois for some 35 years. Find out their services, specials, and coupons by clicking their icon on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to WTIM, your information station. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. We're sitting down with Lisa Peterson right now. She's a nutrition and wellness educator for the University of Illinois Extension. Before we move on with this great interview, let's thank our sponsors, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. Lisa, you got a nice class coming up soon.
Yeah.
U of I Extension's always dishing out some great classes here. What's this one called, and what are we going to be expecting here?
Nice choice of words there, dishing out some classes. All right, so we're doing Cooking for the Heart, which is perfect. We're in February for Heart Month. It's actually going to be February 21st from 10:30 to noon. It is at no cost, so it is completely free. We just ask that you call the hospital and pay it a sign up, or the wellness center. So it's sponsored. It's me and the Pana Community Hospital who are putting it on together. And this class is really great for anybody who's been told that they need to follow a heart healthy diet. And because a lot of times you get told that and you're not given more details. So we're going to break down kind of what that means. We're going to talk about 2 different diets that are actually recommended by medical professionals, as well as dietitians, which is the DASH diet, which is the dietary approaches to stopping hypertension. And then the TLC diet, which is a therapeutic lifestyle diet.
Okay.
So we're going to hit on those 2. I'm going to give plenty of information out. And of course, it is called cooking.
Yeah.
So we are going to be doing some recipe. We're going to make a couple different recipes and we'll put you in small groups. And I promise the cooking is very minimal. So for those who are not comfortable cooking, I do some of the pre-prep for you. So it's going to walk you through the recipes and then you'll make it on site and then you'll get to do some taste testing. So it's a great way to expose yourself to different foods. So that way you also know I'll give you plenty of recipes if you would make it at home.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. So you're not spending any money. You're coming in, you're going to do some cooking, work with other people, and really hopefully get some of those questions answered about what it means to have a heart healthy lifestyle and how to eat in a heart healthy lifestyle. So that's kind of the idea behind it, but we will get into kind of again the DASH diet, TLC diet, and then we're going to do some basic cooking around cooking for the heart.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This sounds like a great class. No downsides to this class at all. There's never any downsides. But what I love is you're bringing 2 different diets for people to try out. You're not saying, try this meal. This is one meal. When a doctor says you need to change your diet, you hear that. That's a daunting task. I've been eating the same things and kind of the same way for a while. But these are 2 really tracks and 2 ways of thinking for diets. So you already kind of mentioned both of them, but can you talk about a little bit about those?
So everything we promote within the University of Illinois Extension is always unbiased. So I'm not going to sway you one way or another when we teach these classes. I'm going to give you we try to give you the information so you have the tools to make whatever decision you want to make. Whether we talk about all these different diets like TLC and DASH, we do focus on because those are research based. We know we've seen the research on them that they are sustainable over time. But yeah, we'll get into a little bit more. The DASH diet is more focused on somebody with high blood pressure, but it works great for somebody with cholesterol. And TLC is more focused for the cholesterol side of things. But both of them are promoting that lower sodium, lean meats, which always throws people. We say you got to eat lean meats. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need the absolute hardest chicken or something like that. So that could be USDA labeled select, choice, prime beef. We consider that lean. A loin, a round, we consider those lean meats. So we're going to get through those. We might do some cooking with protein as well. I might do a couple of recipes that don't involve any meat that's high protein. So we'll kind of do a variety of things in there, but come with an open mind. Like I said, you're going to do some very minimal cooking. I've had a lot of people come to my class a little overwhelmed when I say cooking and they don't cook, and that is completely fine. You're working in a group, there's other people there, and hopefully you learn something as you go too. So don't feel intimidated if you don't cook a lot at home. I do try to make sure the recipes we do are things you can buy locally. So I know sometimes that's hard is finding. So I do try to purchase food that you'd find within our area. But this class will be in Pana. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's at 10:30 at Pana Community Hospital. To sign up, it's actually in the lower level conference room of Pana Community Hospital. It's next to their cafeteria. If you're not sure where to go in the wellness center and they'll tell you where to go. So they'll help you out. You can sign up through LiveWell Fitness, which is in Pana, with connected to the hospital, and that's 217-562-6231. Again, completely free. But we just ask you sign up so I know how much food I need.
Sure, yeah. And attendees aren't going to be left to their own devices here. You're there to help them out.
Yep. I'm walking around. I'll be going between the groups, kind of helping you out as we go. And as recipes get done, you kind of walk around, do some taste testing. I can answer questions as we go through this. We are at the hospital, which is great. So if you do have questions, hopefully we'll have somebody from the hospital there to help too. So I'm really thrilled about this. This is a great class, especially with heart disease still being our number 1 killer among Americans. And when it's still crazy that 80% of them can be prevented through lifestyle changes. So that's where we hope we can kind of make some healthy choices and make small changes going further into the new year.
Just crazy facts right there. That is still the number 1 killer. But you have chances to turn that around here. We're in our last minute. You had some interesting thoughts on lean meat right there. You gave us some examples. What's your non-meat protein? What's one of your go-tos
so
there?
There's definitely lots of protein that do not involve meat at all. The big problem we have with protein is watching the saturated fat in them. So going for beans is one. That's a high protein food. tofu, which a lot of people get nervous about, and there's ways to prepare it that you would never know it's tofu. I made chocolate hummus yesterday for my chocolate class, and that has garbanzo beans in it. You'd never know what's in it. It's high protein. That's a great option as well. Yeah, there's multiple different ways to get protein without having actual meat.
Perfect. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time today and getting us all informed on Heart Month.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. That's Lisa Peterson of the University of Illinois Extension. She's a nutrition and wellness educator, and we just learned all about Heart Month here for the month of February. Tomorrow is National Wear Red Day in recognition of Heart Month. My name is Tim Zalabak, your host of the WTIM Morning Show. We'd like to thank our sponsor before we get going here, People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better at Landmark. You're listening to WTIM, your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.